In the Unresolved Problem segment tonight, President Trump making good on his promise to put America first. Today, he signed a double-barreled executive order marketed as Buy American, Hire American. It would add restrictions to the H-1B visa program for highly skilled foreign workers and would require government agencies to buy more U.S.-made products.
This historic action declares that the policy of our government is to aggressively promote and use American-made goods and to ensure that American labor is hired to do the job. It's America first. You better believe it. First, we will fully monitor, uphold, and enforce our Buy American laws, which we haven't done. Secondly, we are going to enforce the Hire American rules that are designed to protect jobs and wages of workers in the United States.
And in keeping with the president's goal to crack down on immigration abuses, the president also praised his Homeland Security Secretary.
Secretary Kelly, DHS, he has a message to illegal immigrants. He says a single DUI can get you kicked out of the country. Do you agree with that stance?
Well, I'm letting him run it. He's great. He's a great general. He was a tremendously successful general, and I'm letting him run it. But I will tell you, we've gotten tremendous criminals out of this country, and I'm talking about illegal immigrants that were here, that caused tremendous crime, that have murdered people, raped people, horrible things have happened. They're getting the hell out or they're going to prison. And so many towns and cities are thanking me because we have gotten rid of a burden that you would not believe. I mean, it is a serious problem, and we never did anything about it, and now we're doing something about it.
How serious is the problem of our porous southern border? Just listen to what Homeland Security John Kelly said today.
When there is another terrorist attack in our country, if it comes from outside the country, up until 90 days ago, I would say that individual, as we would do the forensics on it, that individual or individuals get into the United States through the southwest border. I'm staying up late at night, every night, to try to prevent that from happening. But that's what keeps me up awake at night.
Joining us now to analyze from Washington, Fox News contributor Lisa Booth, and from Los Angeles radio talk show host Ethan Bierman. Ethan, if I could start with you, because as I understand it, you think that actually the left would have liked the executive order on Buy American, Hire American today even more than the right.
Yeah, originally that's the case. The opposition to Donald Trump, our president, of course, has changed some of that. But of course, protecting American jobs is what the labor movement, the union movement, for a very long time was pushing. We had the Obama administration, we had the Bush administration not doing that. I mean, I fully support President Trump, particularly on this issue of the H-1B visa program, which has been so abjectly abused here in the United States, putting Americans out of work, damaging their ability to make a living. And so this is one thing I can finally say I actually support the president on. Can
you just give me an example of some of those abuses? Because you said I know that you've written a book and you talked a little bit about this. What's an example of some of that, just so that people watching at home can understand?
Yeah, so literally in the information technology industry, as wages went up to, let's say, $80,000 a year, the companies didn't want to pay that anymore. So they leveraged the H-1B visa program to reach out to other countries in the world, whether it's China, Pakistan, India, Belarus, and they would advertise for the job and hire somebody at $35,000 a year, saying that the American worker didn't want the job. That is an abuse of the system. They were supposed to pay market rates for the job, and they didn't. And it hurt Americans. Okay, well, the U.S. Chamber today, Lisa, was sort of pushed back on it, basically saying that it would be a mistake to close the door on high-skilled workers from around the world who can contribute to American business growth and expansion. And this would be sort of maybe your typical or old-school Republican way of looking at things, but the Republican Party under President Trump doesn't want to cede any ground on workers, and it was one of the reasons that he was able to flip those states of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. What do you think?
Well, Dana, you're absolutely right. But look, I don't think that he's closing the door on highly skilled workers. All he's really doing is asking a few different agencies to essentially do a 220-day review to make sure that these visas are being given to higher paid and highly educated and highly salaried applicants. So, I mean, that's what he's doing. So let's see what they come up with in that 220-day window. But you're absolutely right. And this is the kind of message that won him states like Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. And Dana, you work in communications. Look at the headlines across the country today, particularly in Kenosha, Wisconsin, a county that he took from Democrat control by 238 votes, a county that has traditionally gone Democrat in the previous elections, at a factory, Snap-on Tools, which is a Wisconsin factory. So, I mean, this is great messaging. This is the messaging that got him into the White House. So I think it's a net positive for the administration today.
Oh, you bet. You knew that I gave him an A for marketing when it came to Buy American, Hire American.
I figured you would.
That is all across the board. But way back in the day, we had the Clear Skies Skies Act. Boy, the Democrats hated that. But it was called the Clear Skies Act, Ethan. Can I get to Secretary Kelly's comments? Because I did think that, to listen to what a Secretary of the Cabinet, what keeps him awake at night, and he says it's the southern border, and that if there is a terrorist attack, it would come from somebody getting across that southern border. Ethan, what do you think?
That does not keep me up at night. We have 700 miles of fencing and walls already. We need to implement technology, not build a $20+ billion wall that won't actually work. Because here in California, even where things are walled off, the cartels use Ponga boats and land on our shores all the way up the central coast of California. So building a wall, sealing off the border isn't the key thing. Plus, it also happens to ignore, let's remember the Millennium terror attacks that were thwarted, thankfully, by our law enforcement agencies. They came down from Canada to attack LAX. They didn't come up from Mexico.
Lisa, I'll let you comment on that, but also wanted to get your take on the plea that Secretary Kelly has had in the last 2 days, which is to tell Congress, if you don't like the laws, then change the laws, because my job is to enforce the law. So let me just get your last word on that.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's smart, and that's right. All the administration is doing is following the laws in the book, so if Congress doesn't like it, they need to change the laws. But in regards to Ethan's point, with all due respect, Secretary Kelly was general of the Southern Command, so this is a guy who is intimately familiar with the threats along the southern border, so I trust his judgment in this. And there has been reports of a Texas top law enforcement agency warning Texas lawmakers about the fact that individuals with known terrorist ties were apprehended at the southern border. According to the own Department of Homeland Security, a report that they issued, there were thousands of individuals at the southern, or that were apprehended at the southern border, that had ties to countries that were state sponsors of terror. So this is absolutely a threat at a time where terrorism is rampant and ISIS has a growing foothold across the world.
Ethan, last question to you. One of the things that Secretary Kelly pleaded with people was to say that to Congress, you passed the laws, now I'm asking you to support our people. Do you get the sense that Democrats understand that the mood in the country is to, support law enforcement, to support these Border Patrol agents and the ICE agents and what they have to do? Or do you think that Democrats will want to maybe come forward and suggest changes to the laws that they don't like?
Well, I think if they even suggest changes to the laws, it doesn't mean anything when the Republicans have total control in both the House and the Senate. But really, let's be blunt. Americans are, for the most part, happy to secure our borders. But what is happening under President Trump and Secretary Kelly is a deportation force. That's what's going on, especially here in the state of California. We have ICE agents posing as police, arresting people when they're dropping their kids off at school, breaking up families. That's not securing the border.
Well, I think that the administration would dispute that, and I'm sure, Lisa, you would too if we had time. But we've got to run. Lisa, Ethan,
Thank you, Dana.
Thank you so much.